Thoughts of encouragement. We find strength in our weaknesses as we believe we are not in control of anything except God. As we believe His strength works better than our weakness. We find strength in our poverty while content with having what we need. We find strength in our tribulations as God endures with us. We find strength in our imagination as we create ideas of heaven within our dreams that lead to our own future promise. We find eternal success as we let go of worldly things as our dreams supply us with the strength and courage to move forward. We find strength in the words of God, which lead us to believe. Never given a thought what people believe matters more. We find strength in our hopes, which lead us to God's promises fulfilled for us. While confidently trusting God, not men. As we suffer, we are strengthened. Not through our own doing, but God's for us. Your faith in God is not a reason to believe you are your own. You have been bought for a price. Therefore, you are not your own. Your body is not your own. For what God has provided, He can take away. We belong to the Holy Spirit, which dwells within us. To choose this life, the things in this world and to be of it, over God's for you, is to attack what is within you. God's Spirit is a gift of life. To deny its loving guidance, is to deny God's love for you. What makes me at peace, is enduring confidence in God. What also makes me at peace is knowing, while I defend God against an unfaithful and non-believing world, with His words. God defends me as His words come from relating to my experiences. While He has always walked beside me, through the doors of suffering, even as I have. He suffered with me. Faith matters more to me than any horrific things that can be done. Moving forward, God's got the entire world in a delusion. He has you exactly where He wants you, content. Thinking you are good as you do good things is a delusion. Jesus said, "There is no one good, no, not one. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God." Believing the works of your hands are your own good works, even as your hands support you, your family, even as our hands give in need. Instead of believing as you use them, they are your hands doing the work. We must believe they are God's hands as you do God's good works. We were created in His image. Why believe these hands are our own? When we acknowledge our works done by these hands are God's good works, we provide God with credit. This pleases God. Moreover, doing good things, while accepting praise from men, does not make a sinner good. What makes us righteous is not believing these works are our own efforts, nor does the belief that the works of our hands support our needs. Instead, believe as you use what God provided, His hands, God is supplying for your needs. Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as though for God, not men. Therefore, as we do our work, we allow God to use our hands, as they are His that do the work. There is nothing we can do on our own without God providing us with His hands. Therefore, as God created us with His image, it is His hands doing the work. Never take credit for His hands created out of His image. We are more to God than just His creation. We are His image. We are as He is, made from the land and formed from dust. However, not without purpose. Never acknowledge you are not here for a reason. Nothing God creates in His image is helpless nor a failure. What matters to God does not men. However, you matter to Him. While we are His image, Your life would not exist if not for love. Your hands would not exist if not for God supplying yours in His image. Therefore, never take credit for what is not yours. Nothing God created was designed to be for us, even as we share with God what belongs to God, including us. Everything we enjoy God created. We were offered life. We did not create life, nor did we imagine the creation of His life. We are His creation. To first have an imagination one must have life. Then to create one must exist as life exists. Therefore, we did not create ourselves, even as men create each other. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Think of the chicken as God as we are the egg. Therefore, what came first, God or us? While we were born, our parents came first. While God has always been, we were created by Him. Therefore, although we have been given power to create each other, we do not control the process of forming us. Therefore, without God being first, we do not exist. While God formed us from the dust of the earth, He still does within the womb. God creates form, even the dominating genes of the person, within the womb. God creates, even as man does the works of pleasure. It is God doing even this as He has supplied these desires for us. Therefore, God is doing the work, even as His creation engages created in His image. Even before molding the fetus into a person, God has decided male or female. Man is without an acknowledged thought life has begun, even as God has decided which sperm enters the egg within the womb. While man cannot control what is, has, and is being formed, only God has access to a control of this process, inside the womb. God is forming life inside woman. While men put their attention on how they will provide for this new birth of life, man cannot decide what features their descendant will have or not. Nor do we control how a child grows into new features as they age outside the womb. Even while the act is performed by man and woman, they are not aware God already decided a perfect mold and form of His image. While people do not know what their child will look like, even male or female, God is doing His works, while surprising them with knowledge they are soon to be parents. While God creates all the way to the features of the flesh, man just sits back and waits 9 months for God to finish His work. Therefore, never acknowledge you are not loved as God creates us. Even while we are without knowledge, God has done the work. Faith requires never needing to know. While some parents find ways to know things, like the sex of the child, they will never know the features of the child until they have fully aged. We can say we recognize similarities between parents. However, as children get older, features change. Therefore, God is molding our features even as we age, then return to dust. Therefore, as we now know God is in control of this type of change, why would we not trust Him to do the work to change our future decisions? While we have chosen to trust Him to change us. Change of focus. God is our victory over war within us. Since God designed the human heart, mind, body, and soul, don't you believe He is the victor of war? When He knows the human heart, mind, body, and soul's condition, do not believe you can outsmart Him with His own creation. We are not knowledgeable enough to know all things as God. Even the darkest secrets we believe are without revealing. Neither can you outsmart Him with any event you believe you oversee. God gave the world options. Trust in God's Son Jesus or trust in yourself. Trust in his son or trust in other people. Trust in his wisdom or your own. A substantial number of people have failed the first test, COVID. They trusted in themselves to protect a temporary life. Yet, the whole purpose of death is to live. Death provides us with a way out of our sinful body, even a sinful life. Death provides us with an opportunity to finally come home to a loving Father, who wipes away every tear from our eyes. Yet, when people hold on, they end up losing what gift of life God offers them. God is more than life. He is a gift of life, even what life is given to us. You believe your temporary life has more meaning than the eternal one God offers you through His Son, Jesus. Even though you have not seen God yet. When you believe, while choosing to ignore the words of doubt of those who only believe in what can be seen, your testimony becomes one greater than the one who has. You have found love in the arms of another. Yet, it is not purer than God's. You have found security in money, fame, and fortune. Yet, you are poorer than a homeless man with nothing to offer but his words. For this man offers a poem of love for food. He is far richer than a man who buys his own and walks away from the man in need. The man who offers a poem of love does so with a joyful heart. He knows love. Love is his character and his heart's condition. To know love is to be rich. Yet, to turn your heart away from love, seeing his appearance, is to have a heart of emptiness. It is to be poorer than you know. Your heart tells you to hold on to your wealth, that this man needs to help himself. You have a heart of contempt, greed, and self-centeredness. Yet, this man offers his heart so who is poorer? Be real with yourself, honest. Coming to a rational state of understanding is everlasting death, shame, and contempt for believing your wealth is what matters more than this man's offer of love. Better than living at peace with God in paradise forever? Jesus said, "It is ridiculously hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It is like putting a camel through the eye of a needle. Where the poor have nothing they want. They have everything they need, love. Therefore, one less thing to worry about. Where the rich in this life have everything they want. They do not have a future with heavenly things they need. To be without possessiveness in this life is for God to prepare a place for us in heaven, where nothing is lost nor dies, even fades. While people try to stop the progression of aging, however, in this life beauty fades, even as they try to prevent it. However, nothing will fade in heaven including beauty God has made. Why must we focus on what fades over what lasts? People can spend so much time, money, and effort preventing what they cannot control. However, God supplies what their heart wants as they fade into dust. In this life, life is temporary. However, God offers them what they think they need. However, will not accept. They store their riches on earth where everything fades, instead of heaven where love lasts forever, where love supplies everything they need. Yet, God knows the hearts of people. Giving you what the heart desires does not mean you will get what you need. Even believing in a want is a need as you do. Lying to yourself saying, "I trusted God, that's why I got vaccinated," is not trusting God for His protection. Trusting God means not leaning unto your own understanding. Trusting God is not trusting man's solutions for what God created. To live forever is to lay down your life for a friend. To say, God, I give you my life, mind, body, soul, and control. It does not mean putting your life in your own hands. Let me explain something. People have a choice. A multitude still believe it is about action, that God will judge us for our acts of evil. However, it is no longer about our deeds. Jesus paid the price for this, already. There are two ways God can judge us. By our choice of words, acknowledged thought. By our chosen actions, acknowledged response. God has chosen to pay the price for one, our deeds. While an acknowledged thought is what determines a sincerity of loving God or not. This will determine our fate, as acknowledging a thought fills the heart with either good or bad choices. Based on who we acknowledge as our master, God's thoughts or the devil's. What thoughts we speak come from a heart with either good or bad intentions. Therefore, what matters to God when deciding if we make it to heaven or not is who we have chosen to acknowledge. While acknowledging either God or the devil with our mouth, we have chosen our master. Jesus said, "Where your heart is, so will your intentions be." Jesus never focused on the mind. When we think, we say what we think. We also cannot say what we are not thinking. When we think, we can resist saying it. While we have discerned what we will say, we have decided who we have acknowledged and what we will believe. When we do decide to speak, we are acknowledging our Master's words. Therefore, we speak what our Master provides as we acknowledge who our Master is by acknowledging the thought, his thoughts. Jesus said, "We cannot serve two masters, we will love one and despise the other." Therefore, we cannot be double-minded about what we acknowledge nor say. Jesus said, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." Jesus also said, "If you are double-minded, I will spit you out my mouth." Jesus was referring to not acknowledging you with his heart, words. No, actions are not the concern, it is now about whom you trust for your life. Faith means confidence in God you will live again forever. Living forever cannot be accomplished by mortals. Moreover, only by who offers mortality. To me, faith is that of Abraham. Abraham knew he was a sinner, yet did not acknowledge his nor his people's as an excuse to ignore God. While God had revealed his excellent work for his people, Abraham recognized this as a reason to believe God did love them, even in his own sin. Obeying his own wife, who did not trust God would provide them with a son. Abraham believed God with endurance. Over time God did provide. This example of Abraham's faith, even having a son before Isaac was born, is God's promise to them. There was a firstborn, not by a free woman, but by a slave woman. Her name was Hagar. She would be known to give birth to a son that his descendant would bring forth the end of the age. There were two covenants that God made with Abraham. Isaac's descendants would be born in the land of many nations. This is why God told Abraham, "You will be the father of many nations." This was God's promise to him. While many nations needed a land of many people being in one location. While being a land of many faiths and cultures all put together as one nation. God was promising him a descendant who would protect his people from his relating descendant who would bring forth desolation and suffering for the entire world. Why must we have faith like Abraham? Well, without faith like his we will not endure until the end. I have asked God for this. Therefore, God provided. We need not put our hope in men. We need our faith in God alone. Knowing it is not about anything you have done, but what God has done for us. It is not about anything bad nor good that makes us who we are. It is only about who God is, life. It is not about deed that makes us right with God. It is only about what Jesus did for us, making us right with God. Therefore, our focus must be on God, not on praising ourselves nor each other, as if taking what belongs to God is normal, while what was done to God as Adam and Eve stole from him in the Garden of Eden somehow does not relate in the same way to taking credit from God, even publicly with our words, as though without consequence now. One thing that will cause Jesus to turn you away. Taking credit for everything good you do. We cannot perfectly create. Moreover, sin makes us imperfect. However, as God perfectly created us, we must turn our attention toward a perfect Creator, trusting we can be perfect as we were. Jesus said, "Be perfect just as God is perfect." Our focus should not be on ourselves as the doer, boasting as if we oversee creating life, even saving ours or someone else's. Nothing makes us more like God when we accept who He says we are. When we ask God for faith like Abraham, expect to receive what you need, not what you want. This is within God's willingness, that we ask for what He knows we need. Accepting what little we may have known we will have everything we need in the next life. This is what faith toward God means. Accepting God knows what we need. Not wanting for anything in this life, while confidently seeking God, trusting Him for our need. Not for the purpose of pleasing men, but God. God deserves our hearts, not just our trust. Where people in general give themselves credit for everything they do, God notices His thoughts within them. Why do men do this? Not realizing consciousness is God within them. These are God's thoughts, not our own. Yet people believe they are their own, taking credit for every intriguing innovation. Do they not know they have already been given what they ask for, by thinking they have what they want, knowledge? However, those who wait on God to supply will get what they need, being taught by God an unmeasurable amount of knowledge. Therefore, is it wise to think what little knowledge God has supplied us with is now better than having an unmeasurable amount? Is having it now better, while being impatient to receive? Therefore, it is better waiting on God to teach us as He decides to supply it, without limits. Ye believe it is. Why should people take pride in what little knowledge God supplies them with, while what little He does is because they want it now? While not focusing on needing patience to receive reward, they are wanting instead of needing. While we are given all we need by God as we are willing to wait. We do not need to do anything for ourselves to get what we need. Is this not the thought of bringing us a feeling of comfort? While thoughts of a wanting heart led to feeling worry and fear we will not be able to meet the need. Wanting has already provided what little knowledge we have. As for a sincere heart we want for nothing. Instead, we wait for everything. As waiting leads to God deciding we deserve to know everything. While temptation leads most of us away from a God who knows all things. We as genuine and sincere believers want for nothing of this world. Moreover, only believe there is more value in what will last forever. Moving back into court. How would I address our United States government? Our states, Our lawmakers, both state and Congress, our justice system, our legal representatives, our public servants, our police departments, our drug companies, our healthcare system, our advocates, our practice with our mental health system. Well, I would use their evidence of my guilt against them, while admitting I did it, can be used against them. While now knowing why I did it, was their decision to impair my judgment for 37 years. I wanted to know why I did. However, was not aware of why I enticed these children in the first place. Therefore, could not do anything about it. As I was unaware and did not understand at the time, I could not sue anyone, even as these drugs had impaired my judgment. While time had ran out to sue, mental health still laughed at me. As I explained to them, I was going to sue them for what they had done to me. While they knew I could not sue, I had been confused for a prolonged period. Yet, still, mental health continued laughing. While I have deep concerns for children and myself as they are genuine. While being confused prevented me from knowing within a needed period. I understood they were laughing knowing time removed them from being sued, while without facing consequences. As they knew making me confused meant time to be aware left me without time to. This made my pursuit of justice even deeper. I was angry they were laughing. What I had done to children. While they impaired my judgment. While laughing at me as the law is on their side. This made me angry and aware they loved the idea they cause people to molest children, even as they impaired my judgment. To me they are not taking sexual abuse seriously, as they laugh about it. While they knew they never had molested children. I knew they had made me. I was angry for good reason. Knowing their laughter meant if they did not commit an act of sexual abuse and someone they drugged had. Why should they care at all? They did not have to go to prison. They did not have to face beatings and being raped. Therefore, they laughed. Knowing the law was on their side. Therefore, I was truly angry at them. While I trusted God that their deceitful and cunning ways would only come back on them in time. While leading me to author this book. Knowing one day they will meet their liability as a billion of American family men read the truth of their ways. To me as they run from liability. This book will lead them to take responsibility. While instead of them getting their way, believing no one will ever know. Now everyone will. For me it is not enough to tell the truth in court. While a bigger audience awaits as this information is read by the entire country. While publishing my book I have a broader audience than a court proceeding. However, I have decided that offering my book free is better than making a profit. As this information is more important to me that you know the truth. Then putting a price on what God gives free, if we ask Him. There is always a solution. While some things do not go as planned, God has a better one waiting around the corner. Therefore, I am not mad for never being able to get justice in court. I am grateful to God for leading me to do what is more important. I explained to you mental health. Are sly and cunning like a wolf in sheep's clothing, even slick. All they need to do to never face a lawsuit is make sure we are confused and unaware. While we are confused, time runs out for the patient, even as an occurrence of awareness finds meaning unexpectedly. While time is no longer on the patient's side. I know there is a very slim chance we find awareness within a good amount of time. This is the main reason it is hard to win a lawsuit against them. Even if a patient has a reason to sue, they will never be able to prove it while they cannot find the words to explain clearly enough why they would like to. A lot of attorneys do not like these types of cases. While not trying them out of fear they will lose. Well, we all know why now. When the patient does not understand for more than 37 years. Will mental health ever see a prison cell when a person only has a limited time to sue? While causing confusion, they just need a limited amount of time to continue making you confused to get away with malpractice. Therefore, I only had 2 years from time of conviction to retry my case, even be able to sue them for malpractice. Moreover, I never was allowed even a hearing to hear my reasons for innocence. While before I became aware, awareness was restricted. I was misdiagnosed incorrectly and on lithium during this period. Justice slipped away. While being aware now, I wait on God's justice to be served. Mental health still believes they can get away with it. However, God is on my side. While I believe by authoring this book an investigation will be conducted. While God makes a way to allow concerns to find their place in public dialogue. While my concerns will not be just mine anymore. The state will have no choice but to investigate my claims. While a fierce and mobilized crowd demands justice for their liabilities. Those that are not time-barred who have the money to take mental health to court will find justice, even if I cannot. Just because I am time-barred does not mean millions of people are. Since the states do not want you to know the truth, you deserve to. Therefore, as the state hides the truth out of fear, I am not afraid of them, while revealing what they hide. Even as I never would have done what I did, if it had not been for the decisions of mental health. My focus now is on people who have been in my shoes. While I will never see justice within a human court of law, this does not mean other people are not without time. While evidence of time passing, while not having any new cases of my own, proves I would never have done what I did then. As I fought for myself without help, my diagnosis and medications have changed. Therefore, if this has happened to you, my words are why you can use their evidence of my guilt against them. Their evidence is truth as far as the act. Therefore, yes, I do not deny it occurred. While you do the same as what I could have done, you can use this fact it occurred as their evidence shows where you used to be. While your new evidence shows where you are now with proof you have never and will never do it again. While their evidence does not show a match for accurate disability now. While explaining why it was wrong to have them oversee your treatment for so many years. While without a concern to correct what they knew they needed to do. As you have proven they had the wrong diagnosis even though they have an education and I do not. While believing they were right, and I was not. I proved them wrong. While not having the disorder they claimed. You were right to be concerned. While their accusation you are paranoid find no merit in court for their defense. I proved them wrong. So, can you? Therefore, should bring awareness of personal experience being more important in the court's decision. While my book is a guide of knowledge you can use in your defense. My mother told me once, when she was in college, her professor explained to her, street smarts can teach you what knowledge you gain in class cannot. While without personal experience being a factor, you cannot use the knowledge you learn here wisely. while gaining knowledge here cannot be as useful without going through what you've learned. Therefore, this is also my defense. As they have a college education, I never achieved one as they did. Yet, I used what I went through to prove I was right, while what knowledge they gained had proven to be wrong for 37 years. Therefore, making diagnosing someone using wisdom more important. The issue was not a disability. The issue was being on the wrong medication for an assumed diagnosis, based on an opinion not on my explanation of symptoms. This is not my fault nor is it yours. This liability finds its place in decisions made by prudent authority as they have not gone through these drug effects as I had. Therefore, were not wise in deciding the treatment I needed. I committed the act while the state had misdiagnosed me, having me on the wrong medications. Therefore, liability is not what I did, making me guilty. However, what was done to me makes me not guilty as the state made decisions for me, while getting diagnosis and treatment inaccurate. Their action impaired my judgment. Wrong diagnosis, wrong medication, led to restricting a good decision. Therefore, my action led to their liability.